Hi guys, welcome back to the Brunch Club. It is estimated that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men will experience domestic violence throughout their lifetime. Today I am joined by a very good friend, Lesley, to tell her story. Lesley, thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome.
I know that it's not an easy story to tell, but it's a very important one.
So, a few of your viewers might know me already, and they might know me from working at Unique Aesthetics Clinic or writing for Local Woman magazine. But if they do, they'll know me as being fun, confident, fabulous, everything else that goes with it.
Yeah.
However, that's not always been the case. Today I'm sitting here and I'm going to tell you a different story. I'm telling you that the story that I'm a survivor of domestic violence and abuse, and even saying that, even saying that out loud for me is a first. I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
Which is what it's all about. It's about speaking out. So I'm going to tell you a bit about my story, just a small piece about it, and hopefully it'll help somebody who's watching this. So my domestic violence started some years back, and I call it the reign of terror, lasted a year. It started slowly, and it started with more verbal abuse, shouting, screaming, throwing things, punching things, kicking doors, and it was always alcohol induced.
Okay.
So basically people would say to me, well, if you knew it was when he drank, why would you then not get out of the way? Why would you not defend yourself? That's very tough questions to ask, and I think until you've walked a mile in somebody's shoes and gone through that, just don't ever ask them questions. The questions you should be asking is, how can I help? So like I say, it was normally with alcohol, and I think for me, I just really struggled because I was looking into the face of somebody who was constantly telling me that they loved me and that they were sorry. But then, yet again, they had their hands around my neck, trying to choke me whilst hitting my head off a wall, basically trying to take my life. So how can that person love me?
So you were confused. Would you say domestic abuse victims are confused?
Well, confused, you question everything. So I'm questioning myself. Did I bring this on? Have I provoked this? Why does this keep happening to me? Who would want to do that to somebody? Another example is I used to pretend I was asleep, so nothing could happen. I pretend I was asleep, and one time I was pretending I was snoring. How sad. I had to pretend I was snoring just so I got left alone, and I didn't. I got taken by my ankles out of the bottom of the bed, and I was naked, and I was really hurt, physically hurt, by being pulled out of the bed like that. And for somebody who loves you to stand over the top of you and just laughing at you and leaving you there so vulnerable and spit on you and walk away, it's just how I have kind of tried to build myself up after that. It's been tough. It's took years, and it's been tough.
Really shocking things that you've said there, Lesley. What would you say are the signs, if there is any?
There's many signs. If you're looking out for your friends, the signs you would be looking for is, like I said, is punch mark in walls as you go into a house.
Is that a major red flag then?
Definitely. If you could see someone's kicked a door frame or in anger, this is all things you're looking for, as things that might have been carried out in anger. Your friends' behaviour changing, last minute cancellations all the time is another big thing. You, like me, I would get ready to go out for a night out with friends. It was never going to happen. I knew in my head it was never going to happen. I'd either try to go out that door and the clothes would be ripped off my back in pure jealousy and rage, like torn, just out of spite, just torn. Not for any sexual gain or anything like that. They were just literally torn in anger, so you couldn't leave the house. I can't think. Maybe more clothes. You would wear more clothes to hide marks on your neck, or long sleeves for marks on your body. And just your friends would slowly start disappearing. Do you know, because they were just sick of inviting you to events you wouldn't attend. You know, or you were going and you were a little bit flaky because you would never go. They never understood why, because you never spoke out. You didn't tell anybody because you were disappointed in yourself. You were disgusted at what was going on, and you didn't want family and friends to be involved.
Yeah. I was speaking to people during the week just because we were doing this brunch club, and I was speaking about domestic violence, and they said, you know, back in the 40s, 50s, this was just normal. And it's really even scary to say that was ever normal, but it was. You know, you hear about, it was just a normal occurrence for a man to come home, and I know men suffer from domestic violence as well, but the majority is men against women. That was just a normal occurrence. Things are changing, which is great.
That's right.
What more do you think we need to do? Do you think it's an individual problem, or do you think it's a problem of society?
No, I don't think it's society. I think it comes from within yourself. You need to speak out. Okay, you need to speak out. You need to speak to anybody, a friend, maybe not a friend. I didn't think I could speak to my friends initially, and I definitely didn't speak to my family, and my family were very disappointed. Do you know, because they were very approachable and willing. They would have been willing to help.
But it's hard to speak to the people closest to you.
You can't speak to them because you feel like you're disappointing them. You're bringing shame to the family. Do you know, and many other things. You're going to cause World War III with their the other family and your family, and you're just trying to limit damage everywhere. But what you're doing is just damaging yourself. So there's charities, there's Women's Aid, there's myself. You can contact me. I'm happy to answer any questions and help in any way I can. But you do need to speak to somebody, and the main thing is you leave. You don't stay there.
Do you think that we have a duty to call up people and call them out when you see something maybe being said sexist, or a joke being told that maybe is about domestic abuse or anything like that?
I don't see how that would help an individual. I think if you were a friend and you had any inkling whatsoever that your friend could be suffering from any form of abuse, you need to ask them direct. They're probably going to lie to you, like I lied many a time. So then what you would do is you would look out for those signs I was talking about, just changes in characteristics, and then you would just constantly keep in touch, whether they want to or not. Drop in on them, you know, or keep texting them. Just make sure that you're there for them when they do reach out to you, because they will reach out at some point.
And Lesley, what was the final straw for you just to say, this is enough, I have to go?
It was taken out of my hands. It was a few years back on New Year's Eve, and he had beaten me, it choked me and left me unconscious, and the next door neighbour had rang for the police and the ambulance. So he was arrested, and the police went forward with prosecution.
That's just shocking, absolutely shocking. What would you say to any woman or man watching this who now thinks, God, I'm in an abusive relationship, or it's going that way?
Whether it be verbal, whether it be something that they're saying to them, or they're putting them down, or ridiculing them, criticising them, telling them what to wear, what not to do, where to go, who to see, or it's violence, they need to leave. They need to leave. And if they're saying they're staying for the children don't want to see that. They're not stupid. They don't want to see that. If they're saying it's financial, do you know, they can't afford to set up on their own, there is charities out there that can help. There is family members that would help if they knew. Do you know, the problem is you're not in it alone, but at the time, it's the worst big secret that you never want to share with anybody, because you're just so embarrassed.
And what would you say to maybe someone who's watching this, who knows that they have anger issues and knows that they are an abuser, but does want to get help?
Please do, because we shouldn't have to keep, you know, going to these charities. Women shouldn't have to leave in the middle of the night with the clothes on their back, whisking their children out of bed because they're just petrified and scared for their life. You should be that person who recognises that you're doing wrong, and it should be you putting yourself forward for help, you putting yourself forward for counselling and rehabilitation. It shouldn't be left, it should be the abuser, it shouldn't be left to the person being abused to do something about it.
Did you find yourself making excuses for him?
Constantly. And if I wasn't, no, I was making excuses, but in the same breath, so were they. His excuse was that his father had passed away when he was younger and he drank to forget. But the problem with that is, that's fine. If you want to drink your sorrows away and that's the way you deal with grief, that's perfectly fine. But that doesn't mean to say that you start lifting your hands and you take your aggression and your frustration out on a person that you love or claim to love. There's always an excuse.
Is there certain characteristics of a person who does this? Like, we can talk about being a narcissist, or does that come into it? Or
well, a narcissist is an entity on its own. You know, you can be a narcissist and not lift one finger, and normally they don't. Normally they do play mind games, and that's the way a narcissist will operate. Will be verbal, will push you down, will make you feel like you're nothing and you never will amount to anything. That's because they need the control. You must take control back from a narcissist, and the way to do it is to call them out and to say to their face, what you are doing to me is wrong and you're a narcissist. Go look it up.
I have spoke to a lot of men and women and who have been abused, and they say that it always kind of starts with emotional abuse. Would that be correct? The first signs are...
It definitely does. Well, in my case it did. And that would be the criticism, the name calling, turning up at your workplace, sitting outside, revving the car outside because you're meant to finish at 5:30 and they're collecting you and it's 5:30 on the nose and you're not out there. It's all about control. Do you know, they want control. They want to control you. They can't control themselves. Clearly, they can't control themselves, otherwise they wouldn't be doing evil, cruel things to other humans. So they're going to try and control you instead.
Do you think that there is harsh enough sentences for this?
Absolutely not.
What happened to your ex-partner?
He was sectioned. So there was, sectioned. He had a conjunction order put on him, so he couldn't come within, I can't remember the distance, so many metre radius of me, which didn't stop him. He was rearrested 2 days after because he came back to the house. He was also put on a curfew, and he was trialled for GBH and ABH, and he got, must have been like a fine in community service.
He didn't go to jail?
No, he did not. No, he didn't.
That's absolutely shocking.
In his own head he's in jail, but no, he didn't.
Absolutely shocking. So how hard was it to actually get rid of him in your life?
Well, I was making it hard because I was making excuse after excuse, thinking every time it happened, the next day I would get, oh my God, I can't believe I've done this to you. I can't believe what I've done to you, or a split ear or whatever it was. I can't believe I've done that. But you did. I'll never do that again. You must trust me. I'll never do that again. Every time you live in hope that that will be the last time, and he genuinely means it, and it'll never happen again. But you will hear that doggo from him coming in off a night out or Sunday afternoon, wherever he's been, and you know pretty much it's going to happen again. But yet you'll make an excuse up.
Do you think it ever changes?
No, I probably would have still been putting up with that maybe if people hadn't have intervened.
Do you think if you had have stayed you would still be alive?
Absolutely not. Impossible. It was always gradually getting worse. And when the police did intervene, it was, like I said, it was New Year's Eve, and I was literally taking my shoes off, sitting on the stairs which came into the living room, and I was bent over taking my shoes off. I didn't speak a word. and he came from the sofa at me, directly at me, and took both hands around my throat and hit my head off the wall until I was unconscious. It was my wall, it was a semi-detached house, and the neighbour could hear, so it was the neighbour who phoned the police. So as in his head, he got in his car and drove. After he drank all New Year's Eve, he got in his car and drove, but in his head he had left me there, he had killed me, and he'd fled. He didn't know
He thought you were dead?
Yeah, he left me unconscious. He didn't know I was ever going to wake up. He panicked, got in the car, and he wrote the car off in the middle of the roundabout in the town centre where everybody could see it, with his private registration plate on it. And that's how it was left. Everybody knew.
But there should be no shame in that. I'm sure you did feel that, but there should be no shame.
I was appalled. I was appalled that I had let myself get into that situation. I was appalled that I took all of that abuse. I was disappointed with myself that I hadn't told my family, because my family are loving, and they would have stepped in and they would have stopped that.
Also, just one final question. I got myself into trouble a few years back because I'm not educated about it. Thank goodness. I don't have any experience of it, but I had said in company, I would never let a man, if he lifted his hand to me, that would be the last time, and blah blah blah. And someone said, Gemma, you can't say that out loud. You don't know who's in the company, who's experienced that. You've never walked in their shoes. You just can't be so stupid to say things like that.
But Gemma, that's probably something I would have come out with prior to this, because I'm, as you know, I'm confident. I'm comfortable with who I am, and I would never ever have thought in my life I would have been bullied. Never, which is what it is. It's being bullied to a whole new level. So you shouldn't beat yourself up about coming out with a comment, because like you say, you didn't realise, you've never had them feelings, you've never had to go through it, thankfully. So never beat yourself up about it. But the answer to anybody who does come out with things is rightly so. You've not walked in my shoes. If you can try and imagine the person who you love stood in front of you and they want to kill you, they want to take your life, they love you but they want to take your life, how can you understand that? How can someone love you but want to do that? I still can't work it out.
Lesley, thank you so much for telling your story. I know it wasn't easy. I can see it on your chest. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. This is pure anxiety. You're picking off scabs basically by telling the story, but by telling the story, hopefully there's somebody out there that just, I'm here and I'm talking to you, and I'm in such a safe, happy place, very comfortable with where I am in life, and I'm doing very well. However, it could have been very different, and I know every second we're talking, there's somebody else losing their life, and that's the cruel reality of it. There was 2.5 times more deaths in Northern Ireland during the lockdown than any other time. It's not a small thing, it's a massive thing.
And as I've said, we have some numbers up on screen. If you feel that you need to reach out to someone, or you can reach out to me, or you can obviously reach out to Lesley. Thank you so much.
Wait, let's drink champagne.
Yes. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Brunch Club. I have the lovely Zara Campbell with me, and we met a couple of weeks ago on a photo shoot. Yes. Isn't that correct? And it just fits in perfectly with what this Brunch Club is about. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, of course. So my name's Zara Campbell, and I own Northern Ireland's very first safety and self-defence company called The Safeguard. I launched it back in October there, and it's just kind of all kicked off recently.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Just tell me a wee bit about why you wanted to do this. Yeah. Did you feel unsafe coming to Belfast, or?
So I originally come from Derry City, so it's quite a small town in comparison to moving to Belfast to continue my education. When I first moved up, I actually had quite a few experiences of street sexual harassment. They were very unpleasant, and I didn't know where to turn to, because it wasn't necessarily an offence that I could take to the police. Because if you say you're worried, it's almost like, you can't leave the evidence, you need the proof of things. And it wasn't something I was willing to do, everything was kind of raw. So from the experiences that I had, I confided in my mother, like many girls do. and we were on the hunt then for something to make me feel safe to go out in the street again. So
Okay.
we came across a Northern Ireland and UK legal self-defence spray, because a lot of things in Northern Ireland are legal. In terms of self-defence, you can't carry or use anything with intent to harm someone else. So you can't carry knives or pepper sprays.
Not a pepper spray, no?
No, nothing.
I didn't know that, right?
It's all illegal, unfortunately. So this spray that we came across was just basically a red spray that could stain an attacker's skin for up to a week, and obviously deter an offence, so you can spray them, they can be like, what's going on, and then run away. Do you know what I mean? So
is it kind of like that dye if you steal something?
Yeah, so we did that. So me and my mum came across that, and I was carrying it ever since, feeling so much safer. But then I kind of started speaking to friends and stuff about it, just to confide in them, because I was feeling a bit worried in case, you know, maybe they had experienced something. And came to my knowledge that almost every woman that I have known, or every girl that I have known, has actually experienced something very similar to myself, if not, you know, less or worse. So,
of course. And given the tragic offence at the start of this year with Aisling Murphy, it is a time for people to be speaking out about safety. I spoke to a couple of girls before doing this brunch club during the week, and they were saying things like they only run in areas that they know very well and that are lit up. They have their earphones in but no music playing. They carry their keys. Stuff that we can all relate to in some sense. And now we have things like the Safe Yard, which is fantastic, and congratulations on that. But should we have to be arming ourselves?
We shouldn't, and that was the main idea behind it, just because I knew how terrified I was. And, you know, there were so many other girls out there who felt like me. I felt the need to kind of be that motherly figure and like help other women and other girls, but we shouldn't have to, and that's the thing that I'm very passionate about as well. Like, I'm working tirelessly behind the scenes of providing the products for people to try and, you know, actually stop the things from happening.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
It is important for women to feel safe, and you know, I've been on the website and I would definitely purchase some of the things, but we need to get to the root of the problem. And where do you think that needs to start? Do you think that's school? Do you think that's in education?
So there's so much that goes into it. You know, the mundane things that people take for granted that women can't anymore, you know, like you were saying, it comes down to, you know, like government and legislation and funding and things that are just being overlooked at the minute. Like misogyny has a huge part to play in all of this. You know, violence against women comes majorly from men at the minute, and it needs to be tackled from a much higher level. And I think you were mentioning about schools there. There's a lot recently that's been going on around victim blaming. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes, I was going to touch on that. Yeah.
A local university to me, in Derry McGee, the PSNI had handed out leaflets, and it was actually quite shocking. A few politicians in the local area actually came up and kind of took them out of the university and said that's so uncalled for, because it was telling women what not to do. So it was like, don't get drunk, don't leave with someone you don't know. It was completely victim blaming on the topic. But you know, I think...
What about don't rape people?
Exactly, so it needs to be changed. The perpetrators need to know that they have to take responsibility. I think there needs to be better sanctions put in place, better laws. Because it's so common, it's too common. Like, it's something I have fire in my belly for it.
I can see that, and it's so refreshing to have someone, especially so young as well, doing something so worthwhile. Can we have a look at some of the products?
Definitely. So I have got with me today, this is the main product. Now these have actually sold out recently. So these are just a discreet keychain, and on them the only two legal self-defence items in the UK that we can actually carry on a keychain is a rape alarm with a light and a whistle.
Now we're not going to do the rape alarm. It's very loud,
it's
because
very loud.
Peggy Sue will not like it, my wee dog. But it's very, very loud.
Yeah, so it's discreet in the sense you can put your keys on it and take it whenever you leave the house. And I'm actually trying to spread more awareness on the sounds of these as well through my social media.
Yeah,
so
I was on your Instagram today. So if you go on to Zara's Instagram, we have her tag up on screen. You can have a wee look and you can just see how loud that is, and get familiar with that kind of noise.
Definitely. And then we also have the sprays that me and my mum came across. So these are the criminal identifying bar gel sprays. So they deter a bright red liquid and they stain the attacker's skin, giving you a chance to escape. There's no harmful.
And how long would that stay on the skin? Up to a week. Yeah. So it looks like a little lynx. You just pop that in your bag.
Yes, you can put them on the keychain if you wish, but I think on their own they're fine as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the Safe Lock. So these are for women or men or whoever who travel or live alone. So these are portable locks that you can put on the inside of your door jamb, and it prevents unwanted entry from a master key or, you know, someone who has, you know, is able to break the door down or whatever. These will actually deter them from doing that. So that's them.
Fabulous.
On the inside of the door. And then lastly, we have got the drink spike testing strips. So these are very easy to use. There's 5 in a pack, and you just stick your drink on one of the strips, and it tells you in the back of the packet what colour it will change to if the drink's been contaminated.
That is very clever.
Yeah.
I definitely get a couple of those. I have wee nieces and nephews,
Of
so
course. Yeah. All too common, unfortunately.
Great.
But I mean, if you can take something out of the house, that was the main idea behind it. If you can take something with you, you know, to help stop them fears and feel reassured. We shouldn't have to do it. You know, that's the main point behind it all at the end of the day. But, you know, if you can take something out and act normal, spend time with your friends, do the things you should be allowed to do without that fear, then, you know, if I can give you that, then, you know, that's my goal completed, you know. It really is.
Zara, you're a real inspiration. Thank you so much for coming on the Brunch Club,
No problem.
and give her a wee follow and see what the Safe Yard is all about.
Thank you so much, Gemma. Thank you.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Brunch Club. I just thought we needed to lift the mood, and who better than the Diabetic duo who I met 2 weeks ago at a photo shoot. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So when people say diabetic to me, and this is, hope I don't offend anyone, but just because of what the media has told us, I always just think someone who's possibly overweight with bad diet. That obviously isn't you guys. So tell me a wee bit about what's going on.
Yes, so basically Beth and I are both type 1 diabetic, and that's essentially, nobody knows why you get it. You usually get it in your childhood years, and it's when your pancreas stops making insulin, and without insulin your body can't turn your carbohydrates and your sugar intake into energy, so therefore you would die. Less than 100 years ago diabetes was a death sentence, so I would have been dead long ago.
So
And
very serious.
yeah, very serious, because it just eats, like if you have too much sugar in your body, it eats your internal organs essentially, and you just can't, your brain goes to mush. So thankfully we now have insulin. So what me and Beth do now to survive as diabetics is we wear this special thing. I have mine hidden on my arm.
Yeah, mine's on my arm as well.
So it's called a Dexcom G6, and it essentially monitors our blood sugar levels straight to our phone, which is incredible technology, because back in the day, whenever I was a child, you'd have been pricking your finger multiple times a day, and then you would lose feeling. I think my scars are healed, thank goodness, because of this. And then once you know what your sugars are, you have to carb count the amount of carbs in your food with a special ratio, and then you inject insulin.
Oh my goodness.
So you
So
roughly
if you
inject-
don't like needles, look away.
The needle's in this, but you roughly, I would say I probably give like 8 needle injections a day.
Definitely, because
Yeah.
if you're snacking and everything, and then we give this one at night time.
Yeah, that's a
This
nice
is our
one.
overnight one.
So guys, yous are so much fun and very upbeat and all, but this is actually quite serious and takes over your life a little bit, I imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, yous always have to be planning.
You don't get a day off.
You always have to think before you do anything, like, oh, I'm going for a walk here. What are my sugars? Do I need to bring a banana? Do I need to eat a banana before I go? Do I need to bring Coke? You know, am I on my own? Do I need to tell someone I'm going on a walk? You know,
Oh
you
my
just have to
goodness.
think about it with everything you do.
And being so young as well, I'm sure you don't want to have to plan every single meal out.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was easier as a child, I think, because my mum sorted everything out for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, basically you can have this thing called a low, well we call it a low blood sugar, the correct term is a hypoglycemic attack.
we'll just call it low blood sugar.
But basically, if your sugars go low, you have a very short time period to eat sugar, or we like to drink Coke because it's really quick, or else you can pass out, you can become, you literally, your whole personality changes.
Oh my goodness.
It almost looks like you're drunk.
Like dizzy, sweating. I've never collapsed before, but Ellen has a funny, I mean, it shouldn't be funny, but Ellen has a funny story to tell about a really bad hypo she had.
Well, basically, one time I was in the car with my mum and dad, who are very strict parents. I love them, but they're very strict, and I would never swear at home or ever do anything bad. And I don't know, I was changing my Dexcom, so I didn't have it on my arm that day, so I was being bad and wasn't monitoring my sugar
So
levels.
she didn't know what her sugars were.
And we went to visit my granda's grave, and it's like way out in the country, like no shops nearby, nothing. And I was in the back of my dad's car and he thought I was sleeping. And he was like, Ellen, wake up, why are you sleeping? And I went, and that's where I went, F off, Dad, and stuck the finger up at him.
So it changes your personality.
Oh my word. So
And you don't even remember doing it, sure you know.
I woke up, my dad and mum had to restrain me at the side of the carriageway. They were trying to throw Coke at me. I threw Coke everywhere, all over them. And I woke up in my driveway and I thought I'd wet myself because I was soaking.
Like, what is going on? Why is
And
it
my
Coke
mum
on me?
is screaming, Ellen!
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, what just happened? But the scary part of that is, if we were to have that on a night out and you walked past us in the street, you would just go, what a silly drunk little girl. You wouldn't think,
Yeah.
that's dangerous. You know,
You
that's
always have to
dangerous.
make sure you tell friends, you know.
Of
if you're-
course.
Like when we started uni, we had to explain to our new friends, which can be awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Especially
they
if
need
you
to be
don't know
aware,
anyone,
you know,
yeah.
if you're in
Of-
class and you have a hypo and you feel uncomfortable, because sometimes when you have a low blood sugar, you feel so paranoid. Because
Yeah.
you're so dizzy and you're like, oh, is everyone staring at me? And you get really sweaty and you're trying to drink the Coke. And
But
you
you
know.
are doing such a good cause because, I mean, you're TikTok famous now. Yeah.
Okay.
You know that you're TikTok famous now. And you are helping loads of other people. Do you get many messages saying you've helped me or asking questions?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would get like half a dozen messages a day, you know, from people all over the world. Like, I'm from America and I watch your videos, or someone from down the road. And I think that really resonates with you as well.
Yeah, well, there was a lady actually, me and Beth work in the Boulevard in Banbridge, and I went into Starbucks to get my coffee, and the manager came out crying to me because her little daughter was 3 when she got diagnosed. She's only 4 now, and she was so worried that meant her daughter could have no life. And one of her friends sent her our TikToks, and she was so happy to see like her daughter could grow up to be 22, go to uni,
Yeah.
drive a car, you know, do whatever.
Yeah, it's not a life sentence anymore.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
That's so good. And do you think that brands, would you call it a disability? What?
Yeah.
I think it is
Right.
legally recognised.
Is it?
yeah.
Okay. And do you think brands need to step up and start using people with a disability in their campaigns?
Definitely.
1000%.
Yeah.
If we seen somebody, whenever I was 16 and I started to wear this Dexcom, if I seen a girl wearing this in a photo shoot or something, I
Yeah.
would have felt amazing. But there was none of that.
Yeah.
And when you were wearing that at 16, were you really self-conscious of it?
I used to rip it out to go to the cinema in case somebody's seen. And like, who's gonna see in the
in
cinema?
the dark cinema.
But like, if I knew I was gonna meet up with a boy, that was gone. It was
Really?
not on my arm.
But I even remember when you went to Ibiza.
I
You
did,
didn't
and that
have
is
it on.
how did I
And
survive
I
that?
didn't have diabetes. at
You
the
went
time.
you went to Ibiza without the tracker to tell you about
I
your
didn't- I
sugars?
didn't check my sugars for 7 days straight. How I survived, I don't know. Silly.
Do you know that your mom's going to watch this?
Yeah, no, I've already
Oh
been
my
screamed
God.
at. I got screamed at over this because my mom's a nurse, so she's fully like is raging. But I would wear it now.
But yeah, it's important for us to have that presence and for young girls to
Mm-hmm.
see, you know,
Of course.
if you have diabetes, you can grow up, you can do whatever you want, you can go to uni, you can drive, go on nights out, you can be fashionable.
Girls, I met you at the photo shoot and I was just honestly blown away by user 22, is that correct?
Yeah.
Just so positive in life and so empowering of other women. Like if you told me I was amazing once, you must have said it 30 times. I went home and was like, Mom, I've met these 2 girls. They're amazing. They're 22. But just slightly getting off the topic, and I asked you this at the photo shoot as well. What would you say the struggles of being 22 are at the minute in this year?
Probably living up to like the perfection standard, I would say,
Yeah.
and trying, you know, to make yourself look great on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very hard. We do struggle with that sometimes.
Comparing to where other people are.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think at 22, you're kind of growing up a bit and you're finishing up uni and you're thinking, what's next? And it's very easy to compare yourself
Of course.
and say, oh, they've already got their graduate job, or well, where am I going to be? And I'm still in my student overdraft. You
Yeah.
know, like, I think that's a big worry. Like, what's next after
course.
uni? And just navigating adulthood, really.
Yeah, but that's why it's so good to have people like you who are saying this is fine. It's fine to be diabetic, you know, and putting it out there. And I'm sure there's other influencers out there who are doing the same thing, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's watching this who maybe has a child, or someone who's watching this who has just been diagnosed and thinks it's the end of the world?
you're gonna be okay, first of
Yeah.
all.
Yes, you're gonna be
Don't
okay.
panic, because I panicked, even though I knew Ellen lived such a fulfilling, amazing life. I still thought, how am I gonna drive? Like, I'm gonna have to live with my mum forever. But then Ellen was like, Beth, next week the injections won't even hurt you. So
Yeah.
if you've just got diagnosed, like, I promise.
I think I was forcing you to go on a night out within 5 days. Looking back,
Yeah.
it really shouldn't have been happening. I was like, you'll be fine, you're with me.
Don't change your life, but obviously just like reevaluate things, and just remember you can still do whatever you want. You can still
Yeah.
drive, you can still go to uni, and you're
I
still
think
you.
as well, don't get caught up in the numbers, because your doctor is going to give you this ratio or this time and range or a number, like your sugars need to be this, and that's great, but it's not realistic all the time. And yes, you should aim for that, but
Yeah.
I have gotten myself so distraught if, like, over Christmas my sugars were ridiculous. But you have to think to yourself, what time of year? Okay, it's Christmas, there's sweets everywhere, there's
Yeah.
you know, your nanny's made you 3 cakes this day and 3 Sunday dinners.
Yeah, so you can't be too hard on yourself. Obviously, it's important to be healthy and aim for to reach your targets, but you know, don't beat yourself up. And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of other diabetics online sometimes that post the readings and they're like, all perfect, and we're like, don't compare yourself. Comparison is a thief of joy. That's like our mantra.
It really is. It really is.
So yeah.
Girls, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, definitely give them a follow. Watch their TikToks. They're hilarious. And thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.